Welcome to SVG-TV's news for Wednesday, October 21st, 2015. I am Rochelle Batiste with the details. President of the Public Service Union, Errol Boucher, is calling for the resignation of Commissioner of Police Michael Charles because of an action which he says threatens the security of all public servants. The PSU's president concern came from a photograph which shows the commissioner at the ruling Unity Labour Party celebration rally last Sunday, decked out in that party's colors while holding up his fingers, which display the party's 2015 election slogan, 4 in a row. At a media conference today, the PSU president told journalists this behavior does not sit well with their membership, since as head of the police force he should not be blatantly exhibiting his political preferences to the public. Boucher added that such behavior makes it clear that the commissioner cannot be impartial in matters involving the current government and could lead the public to believe he is unable to effectively and fairly execute his job, and therefore he should step aside.
Certain behavior, the Commissioner of Police, who is responsible for the security of the nation, and he's supposed to be colorblind. He is supposed to be colorblind, because I'm supposed to feel comfortable going to him, as is the next man, regardless of what color we may wear. But his recent behavior, in my opinion, have brought that office to a lower level. He's the head of security in the country and ought to behave in a more professional and responsible manner. And at this stage, the country needs a new commissioner. And I'm calling on the commissioner to resign. At a time like this, Vincentians need to feel comfortable with the head of security.
When SVG-TV News contacted the Office of the Commissioner of Police on the issue, we were told that he was unavailable and that he is set to leave the state tomorrow. On another note, the president of the PSU is also calling for the resignation of some executive members of the St. Vincent and Grenadines Teachers Union and the Public Service Union for what he says is disloyalty to the members of the respective unions.
The two executives were present. In fact, the only person absent from teachers was Govaya. If the majority of the executive members present had said to us that they do not think we ought to take such an action, I assure you that action wouldn't have been taken, because you needed the support of everybody. They gave us the assurance that they were in support. So it is quite shocking that persons within both executives would break the strike. It raises some very serious questions about trust and principles, and even the very word integrity. If you give somebody a word, you expect them to hold their word, to stick to their word. How could you therefore sit with these very same people and make decisions? How can you trust them to carry out the mandate of the membership? No trade union executive member should have such a loyalty where it totally excludes your responsibility to your union and the membership. You should not be a part of the union. That is a part of the executive.
And at today's media conference, the PSU president announced that the government proposed a 4.5% pay increase for teachers and public servants, which he claims is based on the success of last Tuesday's one-day strike action by the two unions representing these workers. Boucher says that he has in fact received information that shows though persons were afraid to join the strike action, there was little to no productivity on that day. He adds that he is pleased that his union members will be receiving an increase and is glad that the PSU was able to test the loyalty of its members.
I've heard the analysts or the pundits have declared that the strike action was a failure. In fact, I've heard from the Prime Minister's statements, if the objective is to get people to stay home, then there's no need to have a strike action. The objective of the strike action taken was simply to get the government to comply in one way or the other with the demands of the union. Make the payments or make an offer. Create a disruption at the workplace where you ended up having very little productivity for that entire day. Today, as of yesterday, the government have placed an offer on the table. Our primary objective was achieved. At that meeting, a proposal was placed on the table for a 4.5% salary increase for 2015 and 16, with 2.5% in 15 retroactive from January, tax-free.
Boucher makes it clear that the unions always wanted a salary increase. However, once the government took the offer off the table, they had no choice but to ask for a 1-month tax-free salary payment as compensation. He says the PSU will be having an emergency meeting on Friday to discuss the government's proposal with its members on the proposed 4.5% increase, 2.5% of which is to be paid on December 18, 2015.
That once an offer is made, it has to be taken back to the membership for them to make a decision. I wish to say it was the original position of the unions to have salary increases negotiated for its members. The 1-month salary proposal came up because we were told by the government that the government could not have afforded the discussions, to have the discussions with respect to salary increases because they can't afford salary increases. That is the only reason why we went for a 1-month tax-free salary in lieu of those 4 years. Our first position was salary increases because salary increases is the better option for all public servants because it goes towards your retirement, it adds to your maximum, etc., etc.
In other news, Prime Minister Dr. Ralph Gonsalves says that he will continue to fight in the interests of the policy holders of the now defunct British American Insurance Company Limited and Clico International Life Insurance Limited. This comes as the act to provide a framework to add in the resolution of the insolvency of British American Insurance Company Limited and Clico International Life Insurance Limited was adopted in Parliament on Monday. Dr. Gonsalves, who is also chairman of the Insurance Subcommittee Monetary Council of the Eastern Caribbean Currency Union, said although more can and will be done, there are legal, diplomatic as well as political parameters which are being carried out to ensure that the issue is resolved soon as. The Prime Minister said the collapse of the insurance companies has affected the economic recovery in the Caribbean.
Currency Union has fought for economic justice for the policyholders. And we in the Currency Union have fought for the people of the Currency Union on several fronts, including political, diplomatic, and legal. I was assigned the responsibility by the Currency Union to lead this fight as chairman of the Insurance Subcommittee of the Monetary Council, assisted by an advisory core committee headed by a distinguished Caribbean public servant, a young man in the Grenadian Public Service, Mr. Timothy Antoine. To date, we have achieved much, but much remains to be done.
PM Gonsalves further stated that some 108 million Eastern Caribbean dollars has been paid out to some 8,000 claimants, while life insurance policyholders of BICO have been transferred to Sagicor.
That we sold the property portfolio of BICO in 2010 to enable the protection of 3,500 policyholders. We launched a health insurance support fund in 2011, and we paid out $3.6 million to settle about 7,000 claims. This again is BICO. We We sold the traditional portfolio, the life portfolio, to Sagicor in 2012, and in the process protected 15,000 policyholders. And in 2012, we launched a policyholders relief program. And in the currency union, we have paid out 108 million Eastern Caribbean dollars to some 8,000 policyholders.
And opposition leader Arnim Yusuf is expressing concern that the monies returned will not be sufficient to compensate the policyholders as a result of the collapse of the insurance companies. Yusuf told Parliament the time frame and process for these persons to receive their monies will be tedious.
I really don't have any major problem with it. I, however, believe it is going to take a very long time to complete. And therefore, the amounts liable to be available for distribution to the various creditors, for me, is the issue. Are those persons who were involved with British and American Clico, how much of what they put in there, they're going to get back. There's nothing else. What are they going to get back? And I believe there has been some success, I've said before in this Parliament, in those things that have been achieved before. But we are at a critical point now involving probably the largest sum of money in this particular exercise.
Yusuf says by the time the claimants receive their monies, costs would have risen and warned against giving educated guesses when it comes to financial figures.
If British American owed you $100, the most you might get back is $25, or the most you might get back is $20. And based on some of the comments by Senator Linton, we hear here, it could be less because a value has not yet been put to what is owed. We have $810 million being spoken about. But there are a number of other costs that will arise over this period while we are trying to deal with this matter under the plan of arrangement, which will arise, which will reduce it further. For me, the 25 cents is probably an educated guess. To be generous, at most it is an educated guess of what people will get back for the money that they have invested. And given the length of time I perceive this thing in terms of legislation being passed in various OECS countries and so forth, I don't believe it's going to be even that. Because costs are going to rise.
The New Democratic Party's candidate for the West St. George seat, Dr. Jules Ferdinand, is advocating the need for Vincentians to become more self-sufficient. At an NDP meeting last night in the Fountain area, Dr. Ferdinand says he is among the competent team of candidates led by opposition leader Arnim Yusuf who will inspire and guide Vincentians as to how to provide for themselves. Dr. Ferdinand says that as the former head of the Liberty Lodge Boys Training School, he was able to teach students how to become self-sufficient and tried the ruling Unity Labour Party for making citizens needy.
The office for the Unity Labour Party in West St. George now has no windows, now has no roof. Now we could describe it, as you rightly say, as a derelict building. That is what the Unity Labour Party has done to our economy. That is one of my props for tonight. And I insisted that those boys who were there needed to be paid for the work that they were doing, even though they were in a school, even though they were kept away. I encouraged each of those boys to open a bank account at Ford Bank. I brought the deposit slips and the withdrawal slips and taught them how to write them up so that they can do it themselves. There's a message here.
Dr. Ferdinand also assured electorates that he will not discriminate in helping to empower them.
Believe in the philosophy that you must not depend on us for handouts. You must not. We believe that it's better for us to teach you how to improve yourself rather than to give to you. I have a problem giving things to people like that. I would prefer to help you out. And it's not conditional. I don't care about the color of your skin. I don't care about your religion, or if you have no religion at all. I don't care about which political party you support. As long as you are interested in helping yourself, count on me. I will help you.
An epitome of all things Vinci, words used by manager of the St. Vincent Cooperative Bank, Lavon Velox, to describe the National Heritage Parade held in capital Kingston yesterday afternoon. The parade, which is in its third year, featured various local acts and activities highlighting the cultural heritage of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. For the first time, performance stops were done at several key points, including the Banfield gas station, the Kingston Vegetable Market, and the post office. Here are some highlights from yesterday's Heritage Parade.
Show you a lot of posts. All persons in parade. As we display our cultural heritage. We are a proud nation. We love the authenticity.
And as part of the National Independence celebrations, the St. Vincent and the Grenadines Association of Music Professionals and the National Independence Committee will be hosting the 3rd annual Indie Music Festival at Montwin next Tuesday. President of SVG AMT, Randy Bomani Charles, told SVG-TV News that the event is all day and promises to be fun-filled with a number of live performances.
This year's installment of Indie Music Fest will feature a number of new activities. We're having a domino competition, so for the persons who love domino, while the music's going on, there'll be special prizes for the winners of that competition that will go from 12 to 6. The entire event goes from 12 to 6, and as we know, Independence this year happens to fall on a weekday, so we're trying to get people, out of the venue for a reasonable time. There'll be lots of surprise guest artists, all Vincentian, of course, some of whom live abroad, and we'd love to surprise the audience with some of the visiting artists that we have.
Charles is encouraging Vincentians to attend the festival, which he says is free to all.
This year, Indie Music Fest begins at 12 noon, so after the parade, we're asking folks to make their way down to Mountain, and that's the public mountain, that's the one with the wide open space, and admission is absolutely free. We want all family members, you bring your family, come down, have a picnic, and listen to some live music by your favorite bands and artists. You have Kinetics down there, Vikings down there, the Sugar Mix Band, the Blazing Fire, Zan George and his jazz band, Saeed Bowman, Luther, Chanel McKenzie, Mad Skull, lots of artists down there. So it'll be a great time for everybody. Just make your way down after the parade.
And the principal, staff and students of the Calder Government School will be working together with the senior citizens of the community to enhance national pride as they celebrate 36 years of independence. The activities will commence at 9 tomorrow with prayers from all school children throughout the state, which will be followed by a flag raising ceremony. After the ceremony, students, teachers and parents will be engaged in the playing of back-in-time games such as morale, hopscotch, rounders, skipping rope, wheeler racing, jacks and others. The afternoon session will be a circle time activity with the elderly of the community. The eldest citizen of Calder, Mr. Bascom, who will be celebrating his 100th birthday this Sunday, will be on hand to share old-time values and stories with the students at this event. And in other news, as the family, friends, teachers and classmates mourn the death of this country's latest road fatality, there have been calls for van drivers to take extra care while traveling on the roads, especially where there is a school nearby. The appeal comes from Eddie John, an eyewitness of the Lodge Village accident on Monday, which claimed the life of 9-year-old Conju Brown and the hospitalization of 5-year-old Gabriel James.
This is one thing I just make sure every day, even if I have to walk to somebody's vehicle, even if it's 5 minutes or 10 minutes, I move in for go for my youth and drop she home. Then she catch a van, straight home, she reach home back to her. That's the main thing for me. All parents are better start to do that the same. Go for the children 3 o'clock and send them home. Make sure they reach home. They're safe around all you.
John also calls for parents to do their part in ensuring the children's safety on the roads. A release from the police said the Brown's death brings the number of road accidents for the year thus far to 10, which resulted in the deaths of 18 persons. The Royal St. Vincent and the Grenadines Coast Guard is presently conducting a search for 2 local fishermen. Reports claim that Ellis Roberts, who originates from Clare Valley, and the male who goes by the alias Swallow, left Kingston to fish west of St. Vincent and the Grenadines approximately 6 a.m. on Monday, October 19, 2015, but have not been seen since. The men who were on board the vessel Sunil, which registration number J8781CA, that's J8781CA, were expected to return to Kingston on Monday evening. A missing persons report was made to the Coast Guard on Tuesday evening. The Coast Guard has requested aerial support from Trinidad and Tobago in search of the men. The University of the West Indies Open Campus will host its annual Independence Lecture tomorrow evening at the Methodist Church Hall and Community Building from 7 p.m. This year, Herbert Samuel will deliver the lecture on the topic Independence, a 21st Century Toolkit for the Caribbean. Samuel is a consultant and entrepreneur with a background in energy and electricity, planning, engineering, and project management. He is the founder of We Electric, a groundbreaking multiple award-winning behavior-based web app that helps users track, compare, and reduce their household electricity consumption without the use of any additional in-home devices or smart meters. Earlier this year, Samuel was a recipient of the prestigious Anthony Savgard Caribbean Award for Excellence in the category of entrepreneurship, the first winner in the new category and the third Vincentian to receive the regional award.